Hello, Internet. I've been away for a long while from Mob Psycho. I'm really sorry about that, especially with episodes like these that were just perfect. Um, but yeah, so welcome to my incredibly almost 2 month late review for Mob Psycho 100 episodes 6 and 7. This was going to cover all the way up to episode 8, but 7 was such a nice stopping point that I want to just focus on these two pitch perfect episodes. When we last left off, Mogami, everything was sad and depressing, but Mob won out for peace and humanity, and it's been a long time since I've watched those episodes. I only have vague memories of the drama there, but that's not important to this week's episodes. So before we go any further, just a reminder, I have my Spring 2019 anime review straw poll. I understand if you don't want to deal with it because this was super late, but I'm not doing five shows next season, so it will not be a problem next season, I hope. Anyway, with all that being said, I'm very sorry. But let's jump right on into episodes 6 and 7. So first off, Mob deserves all the fun times in the world with his clubs, because he's into. Let's be honest. He's in the telepathy club too, as much as he might not want to admit it. And after all the shit with Mogami, my god, does he deserve it even more this episode. And if we're being honest, the whole sequence with Mob and the two clubs at the burger joint is, objectively speaking, the greatest thing Mob Psycho and all of anime, going back to the dawn of anime in 1963 with Astro Boy, has ever done. Nothing in anime will ever top this scene, ever, except this episode might already do it later on in the arc. I love this, okay? I'm gonna be a crying mess all through this video, and I'm sorry if you don't want to see that. I'm sorry. It's what you're getting today. But here's the thing. I never really thought the telepathy and body improvement clubs were this close. I always thought they were just kind of stuck together, but kind of largely ignored each other. But I should have known better, because the Body Improvement Club would never not befriend people. They're such pure souls, and I love every member of the Body Improvement Club. I will say this episode, every other instance of the Body Improvement Club has had them be one unit, and this was the first time they were kind of almost different people. Not enough to really be distinguishable. There's the leader and there's the rest of them. But still, it's nice to see. And then we have what starts the episode's conflict. And this is the one point in the episode I'm not fully sold on. I'm mostly sold on it. I'm sold on Mob getting tired of Reigen, kind of not considering him, not considering his social life and his personal life and all that. And I'm fine with Reigen not doing that, because that's been an established part of his character. What I'm not fine with is just how cruel he gets by the end of that scene after the exorcism. Sure, he's always been prioritizing Mob's job over his social life, but to be this dismissive, he's so cruel to Mob. They don't care about you, they're only mocking you that you try this hard. It seems out of step with Reigen, it seems out of step with this show. I get that it's important to jumpstart the action, and for the show can be as compassionate as it is to the rest of it, for the rest of the arc. But it's a lot. And I will say, as soon as he's done that, Reigen does realize, I should not have said that. That was a mistake. I went way too far there. But still. And I do like Reigen trying to convince himself that he is better off without Mob when he really isn't. And it is clear that that's what he's doing. When he's all oh, I was just fine before Mob, and I'll be just fine without him. And as we see, especially going into episode 7, he will not be fine without Mob, because I'm going to talk about that later. Mob was an entire reason for keeping the consultation office open. I am in love. Okay. But yeah. So Reigen is not in a good spot right there as a person. But the never-ending compassion of Mob Psycho just refuses to let us hate Reigen. The scene with him alone in his apartment as he sees on Friendbook that no one has sent him any birthday wishes, and that even his mom's birthday present is like telling him to get a real job. That shit hurt. That shit hurt in my soul. And you know, Mob Psycho's greatest strength has always been his compassion, way back to the beginning. And that is in full effect, more so than really any other part in the series, in this arc. This is the best story Mob Psycho's ever told. I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, people who love the Mogami arc. Yeah, the Mogami arc is really good. Does not top this. Does not top these episodes at all. From an animation standpoint, of course it does. That's not what I'm talking about. Or from a character standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, this is like up there with like god tier writing right here. So yeah. Like, even in the way it makes us like, you know, throughout the back half of episode 6, you know, he's like clawed his way to the top by lying to everyone. You know, he goes back to doing the fake spirit jobs that got him to start, and then he like claws his way up to the top. And, you know, in another show, this would be like the big moment that the show is like giddily waiting to tear Reigen down so that he can like learn his lesson by his defeat. And oh, we can't wait for him to lose and to, you know, become a better person in the process. But while Mob Psycho still wants him to become a better person, and as he definitely does, by the end of episode 7, it still is worried for him. The show does not want him to have this catastrophic fall that he has in episode 7. And like, not to sound like a broken record, but the show just feels so bad for Reigen. Once after he's done like the half an hour of the fake exorcism, you know, and then Jodo starts like mocking him on the TV program. And like, Jodo may be right to call Reigen out for all his lies. But we know that like deep down, as Mob says in the beautiful scene at the end of the episode, deep down, Reigen is a good man who does not deserve the public shaming he gets. You know, maybe he's lying about the spirit stuff, but like, he still does help people. He still gives them like peace of mind and all that important stuff. But yeah, honestly, I was really, the weird thing about episode 7 is that there is not that much to talk about. There's the public shaming, and then the one thing we talk about real fast, Teru shows up as we're seeing everyone react to the news about Reigen. We see Teru for the first time all season. I love my son. I love my son. Teru is my dork son. I love him. They're all my dork sons. Let's be honest. They are all my dork sons. But yeah, the press conference. The press conference is, when I talked about the burger joint scene earlier, how there might be a scene in this arc that tops that as the greatest scene in all of anime, it's the press conference. The press conference is all great. You know, first off, there's the stuff that, like, just feels real. The way all his preparation just, like, leaves him as soon as he steps in front of the cameras. The way he finally starts to, like, talk back to the reporters. That's all well and good. But the kicker is when we learn that the only reason he like, thinks to himself, why am I still doing this job? Like, I'm not a psychic. It was something I did for fun. Why did I not move on? And we find out he was about to quit, but he decided to stay on because he needed to teach Mob how to be a good person. And we get to see their first meeting from his perspective. Just when I thought I could not love this man anymore, they go and pull this. Like, his full reason for keeping up the psychic office is to raise Mob to be a better person and a better psychic. As, like, a better moral psychic and not, like, better psychic powers, of course. And then, like, he takes responsibility for his shittiness to Mob. And accepts that raising Mob is what gives his life meaning. I love one con man. I love one con man. He is a beloved, he is a wonderful human being, and Reigen Arataka is the love of my life. And then, something happens. It's probably Mob. It's probably Mob, but it might not be Mob. But like all the cameras go like floating up in the sky, and Reigen plays it off like it's him. And then he goes outside and he finds Mob, and he's wondering why Mob's there because like hasn't he read all the stuff in the papers about him? And Mob is like, I've known what you were from the start. I've known you were a genuinely good person. And, like, does Mom know that Reigen is not a psychic? I don't care. That's not important. The important thing is that even if he's not a psychic, Reigen has took this psychic in and raised him to be the man that Mob can be, okay? Mob's path to adulthood has been built by Reigen. His path to being a stable, decent human being and not turning out like those bitter claw bastards was Reigen, okay? I love this show. These 2 episodes are, without a doubt, the greatest episodes this show has ever done. Like, I've known since between the 2 seasons that there was an arc in the manga where like Mob finds out that Reigen isn't actually a psychic. And I was really worried there because Reigen is the heart of the show. Reigen's ideals about, one, as an author, is really interested in this idea of the social hierarchy, and it's how it's all kind of, like, meaningless. And the reason I love Mob Psycho so much more than One Punch Man is One Punch Man raises the same question, and then ends on, yeah, it's meaningless, and so is everything else. But Mob Psycho is like, that may be meaningless, but your life still has meaning. You don't need to base yourself on this social hierarchy. What matters is the love you have for others. And that's what makes Mob Psycho such a fucking great show. And I was worried, because that's so, personified in Reigen's teachings to Mob, that with an arc like this, it would be the show turning its back on Reigen, for the kind of nihilism that makes me not a big fan of One Punch Man. But it blew me away. Not only was it not bad, it was the best thing Mob Psycho has ever done. It just adds, for one thing, it just adds to the many reasons I am so mad at myself for getting so far behind in Mob Psycho, because it is genuinely one of the most moving, compassionate shows I've ever seen. We need more shows like Mob Psycho in the world. And when I say that, I don't mean we need more shows with great action or beautifully fluid animation, though the show has both, and those are both very nice. What I mean is we need shows that have such boundless love in their hearts. Like, these aren't perfect episodes. As I said before, the inciting incident with Reigen has him just be a little too mean to be believable, but they are so sweet and loving that any flaws are more than looked over. This is the anime of the season, if not the year, if not the decade, and I cannot wait to see the rest of it. But next time, something completely different. A marathon and a love confession. So I'm gonna leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed my rambling. If you did, feel free to drop me a like, or subscribe, or fill out my straw poll down below, or, do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass, and I'll see you in the future. Bye!